The Germans don't see it at first. They hear it. Not a buzz, not a scream, not the frantic tearing sound they know so well. This is slower. Thump, thump, thump. Each impact spaced just far enough apart to register individually, each one heavy, final, deliberate. A German infantryman presses his helmet into the mud and realizes something is wrong. This sound doesn't mean suppression. It means execution. World War II had many sounds, but on the Western Front, two defined fear. The first was the MG-42. German soldiers were proud of it. Enemy soldiers feared it. A high-pitched, tearing roar, so fast it blurred into one continuous scream. The Americans called it Hitler's buzzsaw. But the second sound was different. The M2 Browning .5 caliber didn't scream. It spoke. Slow, heavy, measured. Where the MG-42 felt like chaos, the M2 felt like intention, like every round had time to choose its target. German soldiers noticed immediately, and they feared it more. The M2 fires at roughly 450 to 550 rounds per minute. On paper, that's slow compared to the MG-42's 1200. In reality, it's worse, because you can hear every single shot. Each round leaves the barrel with a deep mechanical thump, followed by the crack of impact a fraction of a second later. German veterans later described it as hammer blows, a giant metal door slamming shut, the sound of something too powerful to hurry. One officer wrote that it felt like the gun was taking its time. That pause between shots gave soldiers just enough space to imagine the next one. Fast weapons overwhelm the senses. Slow weapons command attention. With the M2, German soldiers could count the shots. They could track the line of fire. They could hear it walk toward them. And because of the caliber, nearly half an inch of hardened metal, the rounds didn't behave like bullets. They behaved like tools, punching, tearing, ignoring resistance. One German infantry diary describes the sound as methodical, like slaughterhouse machinery. The real terror began when soldiers realized something else. Cover didn't work. Brick walls cracked open. Half-tracks were pierced front to back. Engine blocks shattered. German after-action reports from Normandy describe 50 caliber fire punching through positions that should have been safe. One Panzer Grenadier officer reportedly called it barbaric, not because of casualties, but because it erased the rules. War is supposed to have limits. The M2 didn't respect them. When the sound started, soldiers no longer asked, "Where is it firing from?" They asked, "What can stop it?" And the answer was often, "Nothing nearby." There's a specific moment soldiers describe. The moment they stop maneuvering, stop returning fire, stop thinking tactically. They simply flatten themselves into the earth. German veterans later admitted that when 50 cal fire began, units sometimes froze completely, not pinned by volume, but paralyzed by inevitability. Every thump meant another piece of the environment failing. One former Wehrmacht NCO described it as watching the world be dismantled around you, one beat at a time. Then it came from above. P-47 Thunderbolts, massive, fast, and armed with 8 M2 Brownings. When they fired, it wasn't one gun, it was a rolling wall of thumps layered together. German transport columns learned quickly. At the sound of those engines, followed by that unmistakable rhythm, men abandoned vehicles instantly. Trucks left running, supplies left behind. Because once the sound started, roads became traps, and movement meant death. This word appears in multiple post-war accounts. Unfair, not because it violated rules, but because it removed dignity. The MG-42 allowed resistance, suppression, counterfire. The M2 offered none of that. It was mounted everywhere. It wasn't rare, it wasn't special, it was inevitable. A product of American industry, simple, overbuilt, relentless. One German veteran summarized it bluntly. With that gun, they didn't need skill. They needed power. And they had endless power. Weapons don't just kill with force, they kill with meaning. The MG-42 terrified through chaos, the M2 terrified through certainty. Slow, heavy, deliberate. A sound that didn't rush because it didn't need to. For the men who heard it from the wrong side of the gun, that rhythm became inseparable from fear itself. And for many of them, long after the war ended, they were still hearing it.